Can I just say one thing firstly? I love the name Eat Sleep Boxing Repeat.
3, 2, 1. Welcome back to ESBR Boxing's YouTube channel. Delighted as always to be joined by Punch Out Boxing's Ra Hokum and ESBR Boxing's Owen McKendry. This is the big fight breakdown for the unification fight happening between Natasha Jonas and Lauren Price on the 7th of March at the iconic Royal Albert Hall in London. Gents, good to be joined by you. Had a busy February, not so busy in March, but still plenty of fights to talk about, discuss, and predict. Ra, you being our guest, I'll come to you first. We've got, I would like to think, two semi-finals here with this fight, and obviously Michaela May and Sandy Ryan rematch happening at the end of the month. Can you see the winners of those two fights meeting for an undisputed clash before the end of the year?
Possibly. I think it will depend what permutation we get. If the two semi-final winners, if you like, are Jonas and Maya, I think we will get it. If it's Jonas and Ryan, though, I don't think we will because Joe Gallagher seems to be very very hostile to working again with Matchroom unless it's for the Katie Taylor fight or unless it's under particular circumstances, whether it's, I don't know, the circumstances of the fight, the right amount of money that he wants to shake Eddie Hearn down for, whatever the reason is. Um, yeah, and the fact that Ryan is possibly a harder fight because she's probably the naturally bigger welterweight. Um, I think it's less likely that we'll get that. Other permutations, I think we will. Jonas v. Raya, of course, be a rematch, and if it's Price v. either one, I think Lauren Price, just because she's that sort of personality, I think she will make that fight happen.
Yeah.
So that can become undisputed.
Yeah, look, a few ifs and buts, I think, because also if Sandy Ryan beats Michaela May at the end of this month, will there could be an argument for a trilogy between those two? And yeah, you kind of mentioned kind of whether these fights can actually be made. I would like to think if it's Jonas versus Maya, that fight can be made just purely for the fact it was made beforehand. Why can't it be made again? But we'll see. Owen, what are your thoughts? I'd like to think we're maybe in an era of boxing now where some fights are easier to make than others now. However, obviously this fight, it doesn't, I imagine we won't have the kind of the involvement of the Saudi, the involvement of Turkey Al Sheikh. So that could be more of a myth when it comes to this fight. What are your thoughts? Do you think we're going to get an undisputed clash before the end of the year?
Yeah, I think so. I think, like you say, it's probably easy to make Natasha Jonas, Michaela Mayer. Um, I think from Natasha Jonas' point of view, we've seen her and people mention possibly the Katie Taylor fight, but if Katie Taylor does get that Croke Park sort of homecoming, sort of sailing off into the sunset style type of fight, I think it's got to be Amanda Serrano. Lauren Price is nowhere near a big enough name for that level of event, not even just a fight, because we've seen Katie Taylor on some unbelievable cards and some big events. So if it's Lauren Price, obviously that's a million miles out the question. So I think it's only right that we've got these four fighting. The winner fights the winner. I get what Rao was saying with the permutations of potentially who wins, but I think like the way you put it as two semi-finals is perfect. The winner fights the winner, should be nice and easy to make. It sets it up nicely. Jonas is 40 odd now. How much has she got left if she's not getting the Katie Taylor fight? Why not try and go undisputed? And I really don't think she'll get the Katie Taylor fight. So again, I don't really think it depends who wins personally. I think all any bouts on the line, extra money, etc. So I think we definitely will be seeing them all fight each other.
Yeah, fingers crossed. And I just think that there is a limited amount of other big names in the division. So you question who else the winner of the two semi-finals they would fight. I'm not sure either of them is going to be in a position where they can't make weight anymore and will kind of be forced to move up. So fingers crossed. Look, boxing's boxing, and it's a frustrating sport to follow. But you hope that that fight can be made. Owen, I'll stick with you. Lauren Price hasn't really put a foot wrong in her career. Won an Olympic gold medal as well, of course. 8-0 now. She's the favorite going into this fight against Natasha Jonas. What do you think she will go on to achieve? How good is Lauren? How good is Lauren Price? I'm talking, could she be a three-weight world champion? Could she stay undefeated in her career? I know it's lots of ifs and buts again because we don't know what the next 4 or 5 years of her career looks like. But what do you can she go on to achieve something really special?
Um, I think she's come into the pro ranks at possibly the best and the worst time because she's come in at a time where, all the big names like your Jonas, etc., are sort of on the way out, in terms of age. So obviously she can potentially take over, but it's also the worst timing because there's going to be some big fights she'll miss out on. Um, I think with women's boxing, we've just seen Clarissa Shields fight at heavyweight, in a division where I think it's something ridiculous, like 17 professional fighters active or something mental like that. So I think for Lauren Price, as an Olympian, she's come in, she's already technically a world champion, with the IBO. So I think she'll definitely be in world title fights for the remainder of her career. And it seems, any sort of top level female fighter can jump through the weights, and pick up multiple world titles. So I think, unfortunately, in terms of legacy defining fights at the moment, she's probably come into the game at the wrong time professionally. But in terms of sweeping up bouts and getting big victories also at the time, I think she's in the perfect stage. So I think we'll definitely see her pick up some more world titles along the line. However, she gets on in this fight without going into predictions or anything like that. I think we're definitely going to be seeing her in more world title fights. And I think, yeah, probably could see a 2 or 3 weight world champion, definitely.
Yeah, we'll see. And I think it interests me where she fights in the next couple of years as well. So she became world champion at home in Wales against Jessie McCaskill. Last fight was in Liverpool. This fight's in London. She could be fighting in America this year. So that's interesting as well. But you got to think that if at the end of this year she's got all those belts and she can say,
Hmm.
I am the undisputed champion. I've beaten legitimate world champions this year. I now want I now want these massive fights. But
Absolutely.
we'll see. We'll see. Ra, what about you? What can we expect from the career of Lauren Price in your opinion?
I think she could be one of the greats. But as you've said, though, as Owen said, I mean, and those higher weight classes, and I think for women, welterweight upwards, this counts as higher weight classes. I mean, how deep's the pool?
Hmm.
Much like this fight though with Jonas, I just wonder if is she being promoted correctly? I would have thought the best thing is could she go down the sort of hero for a small country route like Katie Taylor? I mean, I would have thought, get her in South Wales. They don't have any top male champions that I can think of or talents. I mean, Joe Cordina's seems to have disappeared off the scene. So I'm not saying she could fill out the Millennium or even Cardiff Arms Park, but she could, with enough promotion, at least fill out some decent sized arenas in Wales. Um, but yeah, I mean, in terms of big fights, there's only a handful at welterweight. And like I said, we probably spoke about all of them already. So yeah, she might have to move up the weights. Yeah, uh, but strictly speaking, in terms of how good she is, as you said, she can probably go up several weight classes and win, and probably be unbeaten for quite a while. I think she'd have to go amongst the really bigger women, like at super middleweight, before size becomes a factor.
Yeah, yeah.
Um,
I want to throw a wild card at you, Ra, 'cause
mm,
I like doing this. Thoughts on a Chantel Cameron fight? Chantel Cameron's maybe had a frustrating 2024.
yeah,
Still active.
yeah.
She could have a frustrating 2025 if she doesn't get this Katie Taylor trilogy. Um, so she could be in a position where a fight with Lauren Price gets spoken about, which should involve her moving up in weight. Is that a fight you can see happening?
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, what else is happening at 140? Um,
Yeah.
Not much. Katie Taylor, I mean, I guess they're all just waiting on Katie Taylor. Once Katie Taylor is retired or that fight's not going to be made, there's nothing else there. And having seen the both women up close at press conferences, they're about the same size. I mean, Chantel Cameron's it's quite a thick set woman at that weight class, so I think she can easily go up and be competitive at welterweight, no problem. And she'll be an interesting mix because I know she's had a bit of beef with people like Sandy Ryan in the past. So yeah, certainly would like to see that, and I think it probably will happen.
Yeah, we'll see. Moving on. Natasha Jonas, at the end, coming towards the end of her career now. Look, this could be her last fight. If it's not, it's probably her second last fight. What does, what will her legacy look like, right? How much of like kind of like a British boxing great will she be in your opinion? Obviously, had a great amateur career, maybe didn't have the best start to a pro career. Was maybe on the wrong end of some really close fights, as including a fight against Katie Taylor a couple of years ago, but has now gone on and kind of won multiple world title fights in different divisions. How great will her legacy be in your opinion?
Well, at the time she retires, which will be in the next year or so, she will be amongst the greats. But remember, women's boxing is still relatively in its infancy. If you're talking about sort of in terms of worldwide appeal. So yeah, she's been a unified champ at least at two weight classes. Though I still will, when she retires, I'll still have a feeling that there was an element of underachievement in there. I think, the stubbornness she had, like not making the Terry Harper rematch, so she could have been undisputed up at 154. And yeah, just like the stubbornness in sort of holding out for fights on, like I said, in particular circumstances, meant she maybe missed out on a series of really big fights that she could have had. But nevertheless, she will at the very least be a unified champion two weight classes. Very shallow weight classes, but that is the women's game outside of what featherweight and lightweight, really.
Yeah, I think that's fair. Oh, and what about you? What are your thoughts? I think another thing about Natasha Jonas is, look, she's a big sporting figure from the city of Liverpool as well.
Mm.
She's kind of just one of she's got to be one of the most recognizable people to kind of walk down the street in Liverpool. Um, how much do you think she'll kind of be remembered when not just kind of women's boxing, but just British
Right.
boxing in general?
I think you made what I was going to mention would be how she's remembered in Liverpool will probably be different to the rest of the country, and that's no shame in saying that. I think, as Ra said, obviously the level women's boxing's at now to be in the public eye that it is still in its infancy. Um, so although we've seen Natasha Jonas in some big fights, the likes of Michaela Mayer, um, Katie Taylor, etc. It's a legacy in terms of a female boxing infancy legacy. I think, like you say, she is a unified world champion in two weights, so she's in the history books of British boxing. But I think, unfortunately, with the eyes that are coming on women's boxing now as she's at the end of her career, I think if she walked down the street somewhere down south compared to walking down the street in Liverpool, I think it'd be a tale of two very different stories. But she's had a good career. I think she will leave a form of a legacy on the sport, being a unified world champion. It's just a shame, really, that the eyes are so heavy on female boxing. Obviously we've got the all female card itself from a female perspective that she's at the end of her career. So that, although that's a shame, I still think she's got a decent legacy. But I think definitely, as you said earlier, the city of Liverpool will rank her a lot higher than a lot of places will, which, to be honest, most people want anyway. If you can walk around your home city a hero, you don't need to be a hero anywhere else. So there's no shame in that at all.
Yeah, that's a good point, and I just think, look, I think she's been a flag bearer for women's boxing. She's been a big part of the rise of women's boxing in in this country, and like we're under no illusion, women's boxing it's not on the same level of men's boxing in this country, if we're being honest. But a big reason for where it is now is down to Natasha Jonas. All right, gents, we'll round things off with some predictions as always. Owen, what is your prediction for Natasha Jonas versus Lauren Price?
I've actually told you this one quite a lot. I think it is close, and is it a case of Natasha Jonas as their experience going to show on the night? Uh, I really don't know, but I'm going to edge towards Lauren Price on points. I think it will be very close. You know, we've seen Natasha Jonas in split decision victories previously. You know, like you say, we've seen her on the wrong end of some close fights as well. So I think it'll be probably a very tough one to score, whether you sat ringside in the arena or sat at home. So I think I'm just going to edge for Lauren Price on points, and essentially start the end of Natasha Jonas's career. Um, so yeah, it's not a confident prediction at all. It's a sort of a 51-49, that side of the fence. But for me, I think Lauren Price is just that little bit too fresh, for Natasha Jonas.
Yeah. Look, Lauren Price, the fairly strong favorite for this fight, actually,
Mhm.
but whether that's kind of those are correct odds or not, we can discuss in another video. Ra, give us your prediction for this one, please.
I think that Jonas's age will finally show because she's going to be coming up against someone not only with the considerable youth advantage, but someone who's got the technical pedigree as well
Mhm.
to actually make it really count. And I think Price has also shown the sort of meanness that we don't often see in a lot of the women's games. And there's a bit of frostiness between them. Um, so I actually think Lauren Price will really up the ante and stop Jonas in the late rounds.
Yeah. Look, I think we saw Lauren Price, yeah, get a stoppage in her last fight, and yeah, I think you've got to. I think there's a few factors in this fight, but I think one factor is how does Natasha Jonas get on against against someone with Lauren Price's pedigree at this stage
Mhm.
of her career? Can she still hang with someone who's kind of 10 years younger? But we'll see. Look, I think this is it's a good fight. It's an all look. It's an all British affair, and I think there's a big fight there for the winner. I'm gonna join you, gents. I'm gonna side more with Owen, than you, Ram. I'm gonna go for a close-ish points win for Lauren Price. So we're all agreeing on this one, no disagreeing, and we will see what happens on the night. Owen, Ra, thank you both very much for your time, and I'll speak to both of you again very, very soon.
Cheers, mate.